Welcome to the Inner Huddle, a youth football development podcast for parents, coaches and managers of young aspiring footballers. Your hosts from Pezza Street Soccer are Pez and Jeff.
Hello, welcome to the Inner Huddle, brought to you today from our very new surroundings, the Pezza's podcast room. As always, got Jeff Bonner, got a special guest, my dog Baggio, and of course we've got John Farnworth here, the Football Freestyle legend, and this is our freestyle special. How are you doing, John?
Good.
Good.
Enjoying it.
We're about halfway through. The idea is to make some of it available on YouTube, on Pez's TV, and you're going to share a little bit out as well.
Absolutely. Yeah.
As long as we got the technology right. But we're trying, aren't we, Jeff? We're trying. And Baggio's being a great help over there, aren't you, mate? So, it's not great for the ones that listen on the podcast, is it? But yeah, I have a very crazy Springer Spaniel called Baggio with us today. So, welcome along, Baggio. Right, we are at question number 11. Jeffrey, do you want to do the honours?
Yeah. How can freestyle help football development?
We touched on this a bit already, haven't we? But let's go again.
Absolutely. I think, there's a lot of ways it can. I know some people might disagree because you're not going to catch the ball on your head or your neck in a match, but I think when it comes down to it, there's a lot of confidence building, especially for the younger children, and just getting used to the ball. Football really should only be played once you can control the ball and master it, and I think that's evident in all the best players in the world, isn't it? From Neymar and Messi, Ronaldo, we just marvel at what they do.
It's not a coincidence that all these great players, from Pele and Maradona as well, can freestyle. It's no coincidence. No, you always say that, don't you?
Yeah.
They have the best control, so I think that's the main element. And like we touched on earlier with the whole discipline and how important that is, actually learning and discipline in one area, it gives you confidence then to take it into another area and sort of learn other things. So if you can master the ball, that's probably going to give you a small percentage of the game, but then you can take that on to learn, if you wanted to be a footballer, the tactical elements, the positional elements, and of course shooting, passing, which have actually become part of freestyle, especially the more mainstream freestyle videos that are out there, especially on YouTube.
We use a lot of it, don't we, Jeff, as we've already explained earlier. And Jeff always explains to the children about its mindset training.
Of course it is,
And seeing a task that you can't do and then setting your mind to it, practicing, doing all the things you've got to do, and then achieving that.
Yeah.
And developing that growth mindset is vital for anything in life, which obviously your show tonight sort of touches on as well, doesn't it? About
I think it's important.
Message.
Definitely. Like we talked about the whole growth mindset thing and how important that is. And I know you were saying about certain players, you can see their attitudes and stuff. And I think if you have that and are able to develop that, then there's no stopping someone, because you can put them down as much as you want. But if they have a growth mindset, if they believe in themselves, that, you can't stop people like that. They're quite dangerous, really.
And there's something about, I think, it's really powerful. If you can see something that looks almost unachievable, but then you can learn how to strip it back and break it down. So it could be in around the world that someone thinks, well, I'll never get anywhere near that with football. Yeah. Or maybe try it with a bounce, or try it with a balloon, so you get the technique and you rehearse it and rehearse it and rehearse it and find a way. And just that finding a way of how can I do this and stripping it back is a skill in itself, more important than the actual skill of freestyle and around the world that you're trying to teach and learn.
I always tell kids to aim low, which sounds really contradictory to aiming for the world or whatever, but nothing big was ever created, was it? We're just doing it all in one go. So a good example the other week, a kid came up to me and was like, I want to get better at keeping the ball in the air. And I was like, how many can you do? He was like 9, 10, but I keep dropping the ball. I was like, don't worry about doing 100, 200. Just try and beat your score. Go back to doing 1 a day, 2, 3, 4, 5. And how many will you get over a year? It's like over 300, isn't it? And that compounds. Yeah. And it compounds and compounds and it goes and goes. So I think just not being too worried about doing hours and hours of training to start with. Just do a couple of minutes.
Like, become overwhelming, can't it? It's the process and outcome thing that we were always talking
just
about.
Enjoy it and
fall in love with the process of its own, and then the outcome will take care of itself, whatever that is.
Yeah.
If you get focused on the outcome. It's the same, we see it a lot with, the kids get hell-bent on wanting to be a pro and parents want to be professionals. Well, that's an outcome. You need to be putting those efforts and your focus onto the training, because that's what's going to take you there if you do it right. And that's the process, and fall in love with that process. There's nothing sadder than seeing kids being pushed that way and kids saying they want to be pros, but they don't actually like training, because you know that they're never going to get there, because they're not going to do all the things you have to.
It's got to be it's like an intrinsic want, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not a magic thing. You can't just put yourself and showcase your talents in all these different places where scouts might be because you're half decent. You have to be in love with training and get better at your craft, which is football, and then that'll all take care of itself. But I think there's, especially locally here, isn't there? It's like if I get seen, or my child gets seen enough times and they're good, then it will be inevitable that they'll get signed or not. You know, but police will know, and it's like, no, you're getting it all wrong. Process, the training, the hours of practice, the falling in love with the ball, the game, practicing your weaknesses as well, developing your strengths. It's all the same thing. Process and outcomes. We did a podcast pretty much devoted to process and outcomes. I'm sure you'd listen to it in your journey in the car on the way back tomorrow.
Got plenty of time in the drive. I love that though. It's good message. Process.
Yeah, but it can be
over gratification, because it seems, I think it's definitely an illusion, but it seems like the world's getting faster, and I think because everything is at our fingertips, it's like, I want to do that now. I want to get 10,000 million likes now.
You can see other people doing it now, because you can see them doing it on Instagram.
You don't see
that's all outcomes. Instagram's all outcomes.
Of course it is.
There's not many people who post their journeys. Although there are a few people that have done that over the years. Gary Vaynerchuk, for one, always does his journey and stuff. But most people, it's the edited. This is it. And people then they compare their worst self to everyone's best self, don't they? And it's like it's demoralising. Like I think everyone suffers from that a little bit. It's easy to look massively,
and be like, I want to be there and I'm not, and just forget about everyone else. Just get better every day, and it's amazing where you can get to. I think
it's very simple philosophy, isn't it?
It's simple. It works.
Be a bit better tomorrow than you were today at whatever you want to do. Find out how you're going to get better. Try and accelerate that, obviously, by learning different methods of whatever it is you're trying to achieve, and taking inspiration from different people and different things. But you have to put in the graft. You have to put in the work. And you're not going to do that unless you're in love with the process, which could be anything. For us, it's the game of football. But there are some children who do not like training, but want to be professional footballers. You can't do it. I'm sorry. Tiny Tim doesn't actually like training. And it's our job as a coach to help him like training. But if he only likes the match part or one element of it, sorry, but he's not gonna get
Have you seen a film called Way of the Peaceful Warrior? It was based on a book. The book's incredible. Man, that's a good book. But that's worth a watch. Based on a true story, a guy called Dan Millman. But amazing book. Very, very, very good. Very, very. I hate the word inspirational, but it's inspirational. But there's a lot of wisdom in that teaching.
Inspirational is kind of
it's like motivation, but motivation passes. You've got to be on it every day.
It's another word that's kind of got diluted over the years, isn't
a little bit.
Right, question number 12. We've touched on a lot of this already, but what are some of your biggest stunts stroke achievements? And you've already said about probably your biggest one that's coming up in March, did you say?
Sahara coming up, which will be, I'm pretty sure that will be my hardest, certainly from an endurance point of view. But tracking back, I guess, the marathon was tough, 12 hours, 26.2 miles. And then Everest this year, which was 8 days going up a mountain with treacherous conditions at time. Although it wasn't always bad, but there was a couple of days that were pretty brutal.
We saw the video in the show tonight. Some of it were really tough.
So we had one crazy snowy day, which was tough, but it was hard for other reasons. Obviously, the distance we covered each day, and the terrain was tough, and the altitude was a killer. But this year, I've done a few things. I mean, there was a clip. It wasn't a record. It was more of I guess you could call it a stunt on a balloon. We took a balloon. We basically went on a balloon trip, dangling off a balloon at however high it was, doing freestyle, and that actually became a bit of a viral video. Like, we did it with GoPro, and we were like, let's just see if it works. And it's had like ridiculous views, which is just mad because, you never know. These things can work or they don't, but that was terrifying because I obviously I wanted to do it and I liked that, but when we got out and you sort of putting your trust in a little rope, it was that was actually terrifying. Did that with a good friend of mine, Kieran Brown. He was a football YouTuber, and I felt, because I'm a bit older than Kieran, so I felt I had to like put an act on to show that it was all going to be fine, because he was like really worried. I was like, Kieran, it'll be fine, and like deep down I was thinking, this is well sketched. Like, but yeah, that's like a fun video that we did. Well, it's fun looking back. It was scary at the time, but yeah, I'd say those. The records were hard as well.
A list of stunts, the things pop in your head.
Yeah,
and try that and write that on a list.
Yeah, I've got a bucket list for, I guess, work stuff and stunts. So some of them are
a bucket list.
Roulette. Yeah.
No offence, mate. You keep entertaining us.
You don't mind, here to serve.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I have some crazy ideas. I think Everest was a crazy idea until I started to break it down, and that all worked. But yeah, just again, thinking outside the box, looking outside of what I do and pulling in from it and putting it my own spin. So Sahara next, and then hopefully more to come.
Can't wait to see that. How are you going to train for that then?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, when you did the mountain challenge, the Everest one, at least you could go up Snowdon and stuff like that, and different areas. But we haven't got many deserts around here, kid.
No, it's a bit cold there. I mean, that's the only thing that is going to be really hard to replicate. Luckily, I live about half an hour from Blackpool and Lytham, which have got some great beaches and dunes. And it's very windy, which I quite like, because it's going to be very, very hard to obviously cover the distances with the wind. So that's going to be pretty much where I'm going to base myself. But yeah, the heat is going to be a tough one, because it's going to be very hot during the day and it's going to be freezing at night. So we're literally going to be like up and down with temperature, and we're going to have to camp at night, and there's a lot of prep work going to have to go into the challenge. So yeah, I think I'm just going to put a ton of work into my endurance. Like, my gym work is going to be heavily based on my legs and my glutes, squats, deadlifts, just up in that. Doing a lot of miles like I did with Everest, just going out and doing like 10k, and then I'll build up with weights on my back and weight vest, weights on my ankles, and I'll try and just turn myself into the best I can really in those weeks leading up to it all.
What sort of team do you have to have behind you for this?
So I've actually got a team, so two of my friends and my dad's joining us next year, which I'm so excited about, because I think he wanted to come, and just more for like moral support. But we've also got a team of locals from the Sahara, almost like Bedouin type people, that because we've got like camels coming with us. We've got
it's amazing.
Yeah, it's literally going to be like the film Lawrence of Arabia. Yeah, so we've got a team of, I think we've got about 8 people going out there, just to ensure that we've got everything with us, like all the camera gear, because we're documenting it. It's going to be shown. Hopefully we can document it as we go as well on Instagram, because really we are raising money for a charity. That's the aim. Yeah, that's
we'll
what
put it out there,
do.
mate, and help support you with that.
Really appreciate that. Yeah.
Right, question number 13. Have you got it there?
Yeah. Who have been big influences on your life and career?
Wow, so many people. I think, like, initially it was like my granddad, because he was a teacher and he taught me a lot. He got me into football, really, like, and then since him, I think looking back over the years, like Simon Clifford, hugely, because of Brazilian soccer schools, almost like rescued me from football, really, because I went from being really disillusioned with like normal Sunday league football, and then getting into a different training method with the futsal, and then that inspired me, and his methods inspired me with the whole getting better at what you want to do, and sort of believing that anything is possible. So they've had a big impact on my life, as of obviously the rest of my family have. But yeah, like outside of that, I'm a big fan of people like Bruce Lee, because of what he obviously achieved with martial arts. Martial arts, I guess, is a little bit like freestyle. There's a lot of stuff to learn, there's a lot of discipline needed. Man, so many inspirations. Like people like Will that I talked about with videos. Even looking at people like Buster Keaton, Charlie Chaplin, entertainers from Magic, people like Dynamo, David Blaine, Harry Houdini. So many people.
He's forgetting that coaching session I did with him on long range passing when he was about 16.
I'm sure he's remembering it.
Oh, he was getting there with
question.
And Perry Cockin.
Yeah.
So
Oh, that's embarrassing. You weren't expecting that, were you?
Oh, was it? Oh, you do flatter me. Oh, goodness gracious, I didn't see that one coming. Oh, brilliant. Brilliant stuff.
Quite a few people, I always forget there's that many inspirations, so, yeah.
And constantly being inspired all the time.
Yeah.
You read a lot, don't you? Listen to podcasts.
Yeah, I read a lot. I listen to podcasts. Now subscribe to yours as of this evening, so got that ready. But yeah, I think I surround myself, like Danny and George, two of my friends that are going to be going to the tour with me. Like, they're amazing. Like, George does cliff diving. He's amazing. One of the best cliff divers in the UK. Danny's like one of the best free runners in the world. Like, these guys are all legit people that inspire me, and I sort of, I don't know, I try and knock around with people like that. I think it's important because...
So do you purposely hang around? Did you seek these people out? Or do you like attract like, or how does it work?
I mean, I met them by total fluke, but is it fluke? I don't know. But I met them through work. I met them through various things that brought us together. And when you click with people like that, you do, don't you? Like, you just have a common interest for the same things. So, yeah, I've been lucky because of freestyle, because of travelling, because of working with various people. I've built up some really, really good friendships that have actually changed me in a positive way. You know, it all has come from that, hasn't it, really? So.
Very important to surround yourself with people that have similar interests and push you on and inspire you, and don't
it's the mindset, you know,
suck the life out of you.
Yeah, like there's certain people, isn't there, that are like doubters, and you do need that. Of course, you need a balance, but you also need people that are gonna almost believe in you when you don't believe in yourself sometimes, because it is a hard road, isn't it, when, you know, you're tired and you think, oh, I've got to do this today or whatever. So yeah, it's important to have heroes.
You're going to need them doing the Sahara Challenge, aren't you? Yeah. We inspire each other, don't we, Jeff?
Try to, don't we, boss?
We do try to.
There's a lot of, this is a youth football development podcast,
It certainly is, yes.
There's a lot of people that have inspired and influenced you there, whose methods would be similar to what we still do now and have inspired us to do what we do, and a lot of it is unopposed practice. And at the moment on social media and things, we're seeing a lot of people dismissing unopposed practice almost as much as some people might dismiss the freestyle as not being able to help a footballer, because I suppose that's freestyle is unopposed practice as well, isn't it, in a way, because there's no game realistic stuff happening, so
no decision making, and
which we also believe quite a bit in strongly, don't we, that you need to be put in the right environment to try the things you've learnt out through your unopposed practice. But we're big believers in doing things unopposed. And how much do you think it would have helped you as a football player, or did help you as a football player, doing the unopposed practice with Brazilian soccer schools and your futsal stuff?
It really was everything for me, because like it wasn't just the training that I did in the sessions, it was the philosophy that was you go home and you practice again. All the coach was doing was saying, this is what you got to learn, and it wasn't an hour, it was like you go home, you do a bit more at home, or you get up early the next day, you do that. And yeah, freestyle is like that, isn't it? It's all you and a ball.
Similar to Bruce Lee, the methodology behind it is practice that one kick thousands of times. And
similar
that was incredible.
Loads of different things. Golf.
So
you know, you have to practice the driver, the putting. You break it down and you practice on individual part. Even so much as holding it. Like in tennis, you practice how you hold the racket. You know, all unopposed things. You know,
that's why we love the futsal as well, because it puts you into those scenarios so much more than playing your grass football and your 11-a-side game would do. So if you were to use futsal as a development tool, we think after the unopposed practice, it's almost like the perfect training methodology to go into your football. Some people like us, we love our futsal more than we love our football now, so we just focus on coaching futsal for futsal's sake.
You have to get the right balance with everything.
Yeah.
I think Janino once said, you know, doing the unopposed stuff on its own is like learning to swim on dry land, unless you put it into practice, which he said was, at the time, Football de Salon and futsal was the perfect, you know, swimming pool, to use that metaphor, for the techniques that you were learning on dry land, if you like. I just think it's a really naive coach in any sport who dismisses completely one style of training. I always liken it to boxing. You know, the boxer, he doesn't skip in the ring, but you'll see him skipping a lot because he's practicing his footwork.
Of course.
You know, even if you as basic as watching a Rocky film and chasing chickens around. There's not chicken in a ring. You know, there's ropes and there's ducking and diving and there's speed bag, there's heavy bag, there's weight training, and you do all these different elements to put it together.
Yeah, you're
and
not
then
going to
spar.
squat in the ring.
No.
Your legs are so much stronger. And if all you did was squat, you wouldn't be able to beat the world heavyweight champion of the world.
If all you did was the speed bag, all you did was skipping, you couldn't do it in isolation.
They're all percents, aren't they? They're all half percent, some of them. And freestyle, if you want to be a footballer, you might be like 2% freestyle. It might be 0.5%, I don't know. But it's still a part of it. But freestyle is a small part of that unopposed stuff. That is, I've got to be, maybe it is half and half, because especially, I think it lessens, doesn't it, as you get to a more elite level, because as a, dare I say, 3, 4, 5-year-old getting into football, really you should just be playing with the football, and then you start to bring in the games and stuff.
You're not going to fulfil your potentials. All you do is matches.
No,
you know,
or game scenarios.
Which
is the way that
lose a lot,
coaching seems to be going at the moment. It needs to be game scenarios with questions that guide people towards.
To let the game be the teacher. And I'm massive for it as well.
Yes.
But there's no point in... You're only going to get to a certain level doing a nice let the game be the teacher passing drill, for instance.
Yeah.
But if only 3 or 4 of the kids out there can actually control a ball, it's pointless.
Yeah.
So you need to spend hours with your instrument, which is the ball,
just
learning how to control it and fall in love with it and be confident with it. And then you go and do those practices that everyone's into.
Just seeing so many people dismissing unopposed practice, I just wondered what your thoughts were on it.
I think a lot of it as well with maybe people like that. I mean, I'm making a complete assumption, but it's like using the sole of your foot. Like when I started doing futsal training, a lot of coaches that I would then play fun games with, they'd be like, why are you using the sole of your foot? Or it's like,
it still happens.
It's like, it's harder, but it's
happens
not harder.
Recently.
I have learnt, if someone passed me the ball now, I would naturally just roll it out of my foot. Like, to someone who's not learnt that might seem strange and harder, but it's not harder. What is harder is stuff you've not trained. Yeah. So you have to train everything. Like Bruce Lee said that, didn't he? Like, you've got to be able to stand in front of someone and be like, I can beat you. And it's like that with a footballer. You got to, I mean, surely the ultimate footballer can play in nets, can play striker, can play right. Why not? Why not?
Going back to the sole of the foot, for a coach to tell a child that's wrong and put that into his head, he might one day have been best sole controller of the ball in the world, and you've just taken that away from him as a 9-year-old or whatever it is, and that's wrong. You can tell him that you might do this in this situation, but you might not in that situation. If it's slippy and you've got studs on, you might not use it. You might want to do this, but you sow the seeds of creativity for that kid to make his own mind up. It's like the toe poke. How many goals has scored? Romario pretty much made a career out of the toe poke. There's still coaches now happening saying it's wrong and taking the mickey out of kids who use the old-fashioned toe punch. I mean, okay, if you're in defence and all you ever do is toe punch forward, fine. But if you're in on goal and that's your option, I think there was a Liverpool game the other day. There was one that had a great chance, and he only got that chance because he did the toe punch. Goalkeepers can't read the signals. Well, there's no backlift, is there? There's no backlift. There's no body angle. There's no shaping of the arms. You should have. I think you should have as many tools in your armoury as possible from a technical point of view, and that only comes from that style of training. And you might only ever use that once, ever, but it might be a cup final or something, and you use that sole roll or the toe punting, but you've had it in your locker because you've been allowed to learn it when you were a child. It's not rocket science. The coaches that tell people you shouldn't do it this way, shouldn't do it that way, it's totally wrong in my opinion. Dismissing unopposed practice is dangerous. If you want to help kids fulfil their potential, it's done by people who don't understand it and don't know how to do it, and they find it easier to dismiss it and look for a simpler way.
Or whilst dismissing it, they say, "Oh, it's absolutely fine as long as they're doing it in their own time." So a coach has got no scope to teach a child how to train on your own. There, if all you're ever doing is a game scenario or a fun game that teaches the child through the game, well, why not have a coach like yourself that can go and show a child how to manipulate a ball in every single way that your brain can come up with, and then they may come away and take something else from it and take it to the next level one day. I do understand it in a way. If you run in a team and you've only got
1 hour a week with these kids,
Yeah.
then it is difficult to give them all the ball each and do
relative.
step overs and toe taps and all of those kind of things. But you can still do a percentage of it as part of your warm-up. The skill of the coach then comes in to make sure that that child's got a balance of everything. You can't dismiss it.
It's showing them I think it's showing them the way. It's not saying, this is it, this is training. It's showing them a philosophy of life so they go home and want to train.
Yes, inspire them to do those things.
Yeah, they want to sit in a garage. And how sad is this? I'm 32 years old. I've got a little garage at home. I'm so happy when I'm just like, it's so like, I think I'm so weird. Like, all my friends just, like, when I was, really, really wanting to get good at freestyle, all my friends, like, wanting to go out, I just didn't want to do it because I'd been installed through various people, various experiences. I knew that I was kind of enjoying the process, and nothing's changed today. And I think the more, like, people that enjoy learning for learning's sake, then that's where you get exceptional at what it is you want to get good at.
And if a coach is saying, you need to do these things at home, you're sending out signals to those children. It's not important. Because, you can do that on your own at home, and they kind of dismiss it. So they're not going to do it at home because you're not inspiring them.
No,
you need to show them the right techniques. Because believe it or not, even with your side sprints and your basic toe taps and things, there's still a technique of doing it.
Yeah.
I see kids who do toe taps and their feet turn out when they do it, and they're actually developing really bad habits. It's definitely an art to teaching these individual core. We used to call them core skills, don't we?
Yeah.
We still do.
Core for a reason, right? It's like control, speed, so important.
Exactly. Foundations, building blocks, whatever you want to call them. Can't be dismissed.
Yeah.
That's our take on it.
It's
not saying anyone else is wrong either, by the way. Like, I think letting the game be the teacher and all those things are brilliant. But there's no reason why you can't do it all.
No. There are some players that are, like, very nearing complete. I do think Ronaldo is, like, exceptional because he's got, like, the height and the speed, but he's also got, like, such great feet. Messi's, like, such a great example. Just beautiful to watch, aren't they? But why can't every player in 10, 20 years be that comfortable with the ball? Imagine what the level would be like then. It'd just be beautiful to watch, wouldn't it?
Well, it's been done, and Ronaldo openly says he did it through doing unopposed practice.
Yeah.
We know how he did it. He did something very similar to our core skills.
Yeah.
And he put weights around his ankles and things like that to challenge himself, and then take them off so you've got that overload. It's not news. If you read Stanley Matthews' autobiography, which is behind me somewhere, he used to go on Blackpool Beach, funnily enough.
That's where I'm going to go.
And he used to train in heavier boots and do unopposed stuff himself, practicing dribbling around cones and all the basics in heavy boots. And then he always used to play in light boots, and he said he used to feel like he had the freedom, and it's not rocket science. But
makes sense. It's definitely needed in anything.
Right, what question are we on, and who's reading
14?
it? 14. Right, well, this fits in lovely with what we've just been saying. So, question number 14. How do you keep motivated, and how many practice hours do you actually do?
Good question. It does vary.
This one came from Josh Jeffrey, I think, this one, by the way.
Good question. So, with training, I actually I see it as learning now. I guess I've changed my view on training. Obviously, there's training in the gym, there's training for a challenge, a world record, and so forth. But I have a standard that I try and meet every day. Sometimes,
structure.
Yeah, structure. So
don't just get up and go, right, today I fancy doing these skills.
Definitely. No. Well, sometimes I do, but I never get far by doing that. So I tend to structure my weeks. So on a Sunday, I always plan out my weeks. So, because I know I've got to take into consideration my training, but also my engagements, where I'm going to be. Like, obviously, tonight I've got a show here, so I've got to factor in that I'm going to be in a car for 4 hours. So I'm thinking, what can I do for that 4 hours to take myself forward? Exactly.
Obvious.
Wish I'd have subscribed earlier, guys. Sorry. But that is exactly what I do. So even down to the minute of like, right, okay, I can use that time productively by listening to this podcast or that audio book. So going back to my staples on a regular basis, I try and learn for 3 hours a day. That's what I try and get to. Sometimes I do more, sometimes I do less. Sometimes it could be magic, sometimes it could be freestyle. It depends what plate needs putting up higher or spinning higher at that time. So, but if I didn't do that, and if I didn't live my life on paper, I'd lose track of everything, because people do wane, don't they, in inspiration, but that's how I keep myself accountable, by journaling each day, planning out my week. So I'm doing what's right and not what I feel like. Because, you know, it's like you get up in the morning, you don't want to go to the gym, but you know you have to fulfill that goal. So you just get out and do it. It's like at school, you don't want to go to maths or science, but you got to. Unfortunately, if you got to pass school, you're going to pass school, you got to go to your things. So that's what freestyle taught me anyway when I was training for my first world championship, to schedule my time, and no one else did that and I won. So why can't I adopt that in my life, you know, on from there. So yeah, aside from that though, obviously the learning gives me inspiration, because I do read a lot of books. I like to study people, and also meeting people, and like new people all the time inspires me. Traveling to different countries inspires me. Meeting other freestylers in other countries inspire me in different ways. So.
What about the actual practice itself? So obviously you've got a show coming up, so you might practice the elements of your show tonight.
Yeah.
But just going back to raw freestyle training you're having.
Yeah.
We've planned on a Sunday I'm going to do just training me and a ball this week.
Yeah.
How many sort of hours in one hit do you do? Do you do 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the afternoon, or would you just go for it? Or
it is, to be honest, I've trained shorter, but I feel smarter now, because I feel that when I was training, I was just going out. I'd be like, I'm just going to train for 5 hours, and it was like, yeah, I'm training for 5 hours. But now I think you can do more in less time. So I'll be very specific with the routine that I'll be doing, and I might do it for an hour solidly, but I'm done in after that hour, because I've given all my body to it and all my mind to it. But I've hit almost a flow state, because I've gone. I love this idea of chaos and order. So the order is what you can already do. It's boring. The chaos is what I can't do, almost a bit too much. When you hit that in the middle, that's like a sweet spot. Don't always hit it, but if I do on a certain routine, I feel like my learning enhanced. And that's why I don't necessarily agree with the 10,000 hour rule, because I think you can get into flow states, and that is down to people you might be amongst at that period of time. If I'm with a freestyler that can do stuff, certain tricks that I can't do, I can learn so much faster. So one thing I do, I have a friend of mine who lives in Preston, and he's a lot better at certain areas of freestyle than I am, so I will train for him. Obviously my friend and I get on well with him, but I train with him for that very reason, because he pushes me forward. If I was training that same trick on my own, I don't think I would learn it as fast. So
that's a smart way.
I'm always toying with those ideas.
Help you in certain aspects. 10,000 hour rules.
I mean,
Very simple rule to explain to people the theory of practice. But, you know, there's people that dismiss that totally as well, and it should be dismissed. You take elements of it.
Oh, it works.
And use it. Yeah, it does work.
Not everyone wants to become the best in the world, do they? And that's fine. They might just want to get a little bit better at, I don't know, golf. So that's fine. Just train.
And it might take some 10,000 hours. It might take them 12. Some might get away with 6 if they're in the right environment. You know, so you know, training smart. Yeah, it's interesting, because Daniel Cutting was there tonight watching you, friend of yours, and I heard him after talking about training and practicing. He doesn't get time to practice anymore. Yeah, and I thought, oh, I knew that question was coming up. I thought it'd be interesting to see how much.
But I think like there's, for me, it sounds a bit harsh, but there's no excuse not to, because it's your duty. If I stop practicing and stop training, this is probably just the way I am, but I feel like it's not like I'd be giving myself a disservice talking to youngsters in that way. Do you know what I mean? Because like my life, I feel, is very much about that. Like if I'm doing stuff in schools or if I'm putting on live shows, I very much base it around that. So I feel like I have to live truthfully myself you need to live that and spread that message. Otherwise they don't go in hand. So like when I set my week out, my rest actually comes first, and my family, because that is more important than anything. But aside from that, it is the learning, because brilliant book called The One Thing. I don't know if you've heard of it.
New one.
What a good book. And that just says the same thing. And you know, the one thing you do is bettering yourself, and they say it's an appointment with yourself. You know, it's an appointment to improve yourself in whatever way. And I think that is you know, it might be the case of letting emails go for a day, and that's hard to take, isn't it, with the world we live in. But if there's any way of scheduling in your learning time, then you're always going to improve, and you're never going to be low on a skill set, are you?
What about new skills? So you mentioned there that you practice, you've got routine coming up, so you'll practice that routine because that's a smart thing to do. But I guess one of the things you must love is coming up with something new, and then how much, like tonight you had the 2 balls, and I remember when you first said to me, I've been working on some stuff with 2 balls, I don't know if it's going to work, I'm struggling with those, but you had that buzz and that excitement that you were doing something different. So how much time do you put aside for new stuff?
So in all honesty, my training is very simple. It's either routine stuff, which is stuff I can already do, but the routine is like different choreography, doing tricks in a different way, or it's totally new stuff. If I'm ever training stuff that I can do, I see it as like almost ego, because I'm like, yeah, I'm amazing. If I'm ever doing too well in a session, I have a hard look at myself and think, why am I doing stuff I can already do? So it's all new. Like a lot of my stuff I've been learning recently is like new transitions or ideas I've taken from other people, and it can be frustrating because you can't do it, but mix that in with some stuff you can do, and it sort of again, talking about the chaos and order.
Chaos,
if I'm in that zone, I'm moving forward, and I guess I'm happy. It's a good place to be.
Very interesting, because it's a very similar concept of what we have at Pezza Street Soccer, is the order and the chaos, and to the point where parents can look at our sessions and say, that looked like a load of carnage. They say, but we did that on purpose, the chaos. And, you know, the random elements to it. We call it chaos, don't we? Which, you know, there's straight line drills and things like that we don't believe in.
They might look good.
It might look
from
good,
the outside.
very aesthetically pleasing.
But that's the thing with freestyle. So a lot of people tar it with the brushes like it's keeping the ball in the air. Yeah, it is keeping the ball in the air, but you've got to be willing to fail and fail better, do you know what I mean? And make mistakes. If someone watched me training and think he's rubbish, because I never get any, well, I get 20% of the session right, and that's a good thing, because otherwise what's the point? So, and that's what you just said there, isn't it? There's a reason for the chaos, and we all need a bit of chaos in our lives to grow, otherwise we just become...
We believe it's our job as coaches to help the children, or create an environment and set things up where they actually make as many mistakes as possible. But in an environment where they're allowed to and they can learn from it. That's what coaching does. How the kids grow. And in anything,
you guys do. It's why you're there, isn't it? You're not there to just be like...
So if anyone comes to watch, they might think they're making loads of mistakes. That's rubbish. And they don't. And it's about educating them, and that's the hardest part of our job, is educating that we want them to make mistakes, because it's an accelerated learning environment. So we want them to make 100 mistakes in this session, then tell them how they can do it better, and then they learn. Whereas if you go to club football, they're trying to get a team to win a game of football at the end of the year. They don't want mistakes. End of the week, sorry. Do you know what I mean? They've got a game coming up. They want nice straight line drills, A to B to C, C moves to D, and all that kind of stuff. Nice shot at the end. They want to see it. And then they shout when there's a mistake. Or they stop it. They stop the game and say, "What, you know, how could you have done that so you didn't make a mistake?" And they're like, "No, with us, we haven't got a game at the weekend. Got to make loads and loads of mistakes, and then tell them why and how they can stop making those, or they can learn from themselves." And that's the beauty of what we do in a nutshell, isn't it? It's difficult, because even now we get brilliant sessions where they've made loads of mistakes and they're growing and becoming better players, and parents will come and say, "Are you ever going to do any, like, you know, drills?" And you're like, here we go again. You've got to explain to them, well, no, because football's not played in straight lines. You're not going to pass it, A passes to B and you follow to the back of the queue. It's not real.
It is chaotic, isn't it, football? Of course, you've tactics and stuff, but when you think about that, I think that's why street soccer has such an appeal, doesn't it? Because it's, you know, if you look at a game of Panna, I love Panna because that's a bit like martial arts. It's like a ball and 2 guys, and it's quite strategical, but you have to perform. Like, you have to fail and fail and fail and fail to get better.
To get good at anything, you have to, you know, play the guitar, you learn the chords, and that's like our core skills. And then you start putting them together, which we call 3-part combos, or to start with, or more, so you can put those chords together. And, you know, if you're left to experiment and make loads of mistakes, and you become a very good player. You're only going to become a good player by being creative. And a lot of coaches take out creativity in football by not allowing children to make mistakes. So going back to guitar, it's like saying, you must learn bar black sheep, you must learn this. You're kind of putting a ceiling on children's talent and where they might go, because they're only ever going to get good at bar black sheep and twinkle twinkle little star. They play that better than anyone and probably get there quicker than everyone else who's experimenting and practicing. If you want to see a genius, you know, Jimi Hendrix or someone, he's not doing bar black sheep. You know, he's experimenting. He's seeing what works for him and pushing boundaries. To push boundaries, you have to make mistakes.
Get on the cusp of chaos and order. Get on the razor's edge, because that's where progression speeds up, I think.
Exactly, and it's a very difficult concept to put over to people. Even though we've had so much success of players going on and getting signed, I think 16, 17 now we've had signed at pro clubs. And that's not what it's all about for us. It's about each individual child fulfilling their potential. But at least we can back it up now and say, well, find me anyone else in the area that's, or any area that's had that many kids in 5 years get to that level. It's unbelievable. We don't make enough of it, do we, really? Because we don't want people to think we're elitist, and we want, you know, any kid who loves the ball's got a right to come and be better and fulfill their potential. And it's a bit like, you know, but it works, and you can get to this level, and it's how you sort of package that to everyone. That's quite a difficult aspect.
I can imagine. But I do get that feel from what you guys are doing. It's like, it's the environment you have created for youngsters is like so good, so needed, isn't it? It's,
we do what we do.
Long may it last.
And it's not for everyone.
No, of course not.
But those that it's for, and those that trust and buy into it and develop the growth mindset, and the parents buy into it, those that are into it excel. And you can see it easily, really, can't you? But the kid has to be into it as well. If they've got a fixed mindset and every time you're showing them something they're just booting the ball against the wall waiting for matches, then they're not going to get the most out of it. But it's it does work.
No, it does. It does.
Your turn or mine?
Good question.
Question number 15. I feel like we've answered it.
Well, let's answer it again.
Try it in a different way.
It's not that late, is it?
What attributes do you think can be developed through freestyle? That was hard.
that was a difficult one, wasn't it? What attributes do you think can be developed through freestyle? Who wrote that question? It's a difficult one.
So attributes like football attributes.
Well, anything.
Or general.
Yeah, we've said growth mindset and all those kind of things, haven't we? But
discipline, breaking down challenges, goal setting.
Discipline's an important one.
Yeah, I think discipline across the board. I think there's no one really, especially in freestyle, that's gone to the top in it that hasn't had the discipline.
Is that discipline to practice and put the effort into the process?
So. Yeah, because you have to really be your own boss, don't you? It's not like being in a team where your coach is like, right, we're training now. You've got to have that extra percent, I think, to push yourself forward. And that comes from your character, doesn't it? And I want to do it for the right reasons, for the intrinsic want to freestyle. I think goal setting is quite a big thing, because some of the tricks that are so hard, I guess, so you need to break them down. Like we were saying before, around the world is one example. You're not just going to go straight into doing that, and that relates to other tricks that you progress onto. So I think goal setting, I think I've learned a lot from goal setting the last year, from like some of the records that I've done and stuff. Like they almost seemed a bit too much in one sort of thought, but when you start to break it down,
you work backwards and stages, don't you?
Exactly, work backwards. So I think that's important with the whole goal setting thing, and just progressing on those. And that, like we've said tonight, it can be put to anything in football or outside of football.
Schoolwork.
Yeah.
Anything.
Yeah. Because it's like, if I'm going to the gym and my general routine is like gym in the morning, then I'll eat a bit later on. But if I don't go to the gym, I'm more susceptible to eat rubbishy foods. So it's like I don't know if I'm making sense, but if you develop a good habit in one area of your life, the rest will take care. So if you go to the gym, you're going to want to eat good. You know what I mean? I think it puts a better
I always do when I go to the
life.
gym. Jeff, I don't know about you.
Go McDonald's after.
Yeah, it's a bit like it. But no, habit forming, discipline.
Yeah, because we are, I don't know what the exact figures are, but we are run by our subconscious, aren't we? Whether we like it or not, it's just the natural things you do. So I think that's a huge thing for us all, isn't it?
I suppose it's quite difficult to be highly disciplined in one area and not disciplined in others, because you're teaching yourself to be disciplined as a habit, and you can transfer that over to other areas,
doesn't it? Yeah.
But in general, what attributes do you think we develop through freestyle? Lots.
Yeah.
You know, just like anything else we've said about playing a guitar or whatever it might be, whatever your discipline is, whatever your focus is, and you're putting in the hours of something to achieve something, is one of the attributes.
Yeah.
That's what you want to achieve things in life, whatever it is, whatever level. And like you said earlier, it doesn't have to be elite level, or world class, or world records. Like, it can be anything.
I think one thing for human nature, for humans and for society in the bigger picture, is like people should always have a goal. I mean, this is just my theory on it, but I think even little kids, like if you have a goal, a positive goal, and a goal that sheds a good message, then you're less likely to want to get addicted to gaming and games like Fortnite, and a kid's like just addicted to it, and it kind of worries me a little bit. But I think if you really get in that philosophy of like aiming, we talked about aiming low, but like aiming high in a positive sense, aiming for something and sort of being.
And then you work backwards, and that first step is a low.
Yeah, of course. It'll always be like a little
that's
bit.
inspiring. You want that end goal to be an inspiring thing, not one that's going to put you off.
I think a lot of people don't give themselves credit for how much they can achieve or how positive they can be. We are here to be ourselves, I think, and I think it wards you off. It is another conversation probably for another day, but you do see people, if they go off track, it can sometimes have bad consequences, can't it? But if you develop that from a young age, or at least learn it a bit later on about goal setting and about sort of understanding yourself, then you create a better life for yourself. And if you create a better life for yourself, it creates a better world, doesn't it? People that can actually think for themselves and articulate what they want to get from the world. So
got deep there.
Quite deep.
Deep and powerful,
Deep and powerful. I like it. Are you going to lighten me? I think this is going to be very similar to what we've just been talking about.
This is 16 now.
Yes.
Can the principles of repetitive practice of freestyle be transferred to other things? Again, it feels like we've...
Yeah, this normally happens in our shows, doesn't it? You get to the last few questions,
We've like gone off.
Answered them a million times, but yes, the principles of repetitive practice with anything that we've touched on, with guitar to whatever it is, golf, putting to...
One thing boxing. I related so much to, like, there's a part of magic called cardistry, and I love it because it's not a magic trick as such, but it's like cool ways of shuffling, and I really enjoyed learning cardistry because it took a lot of practice. So what I did was, like, I started with the cards because it's in blocks. Like, you might see Dynamo do all these like cool shuffles. That's like cardistry, and obviously you start off and the cards just fall over the place. Like, I've got to pick all these up, but then you start to figure out ways of like putting them together with elastic bands, and then you take that away and stuff. So like, I always think that was a bit like learning freestyle, because the ball would drop and the cards would drop, and I would imagine it is the same for the guitar. I don't play the guitar, but I would imagine it has to be the same. There's no other way other than just repeat.
But I admire that in people. I look for that in people. Yeah, people that have seen something that they want to achieve and they've done it through hard work, not this natural born talent.
Yeah,
which you decided I want to be good at shuffling cards.
It's such a weird thing.
Like you say, we've already said you know in your head what the end goal is. Yeah, but you're not going to get there straight away. So you have to go work backwards. Yeah, start low, achieve that, and then work out how you can accelerate that with rubber bands and ways to trick yourself into learning, and that's how you learn things. That's what we do at Pezzers. What you do with freestyle, and I'm sure what they do with guitars and with anything else.
It's all the same.
It's a very, very simple formula, but really, really difficult to do because you've got to be into it and inspired and fall in love with it.
I have this thing in my brain where like I can't let anything beat me. So that was it. Like, I started learning like a cardistry routine. I'm like, I cannot not master this. It's weird, whereas I guess some people might be more, whatever, don't care. So I think you've got to care about the thing, haven't you? You've got to want to do it, like we've said, but that always makes me laugh.
You've developed that mindset for your freestyle, but now you've gone into other things, and you can't quit. It's a challenge.
Yeah, it never stops, does it really? So there's something else.
Which is, like I said, I admire that attitude in anyone.
Well,
you know, achieving something through hard work, basically. You know, I think I said it to you before, Jeffrey. The day I realised that I was dog average at everything was probably the turning point in my life, because I thought, well, if I'm going to achieve anything, I'm going to have to work really hard for it. Because I've got no natural talent, no natural ability at anything.
Right.
But obviously, some things you're a bit better at than others.
Yeah.
But across the board, dog average.
Right.
And if you realise that, like I did, then you realise you have to work at everything you get, and I developed a work ethic from that. And then you get to effort with
it's a good
compared to I won't be outworked. You know, I'll
Yeah.
keep doing it.
Yeah.
Which is why we're up at almost midnight doing a podcast with my dog in our spare room. You know,
next show starting soon.
just the way it is, and I think a lot of other people, you know, might get told they're special or, you know, you've got natural ability or something, and they think they can put their...
Lex says, doesn't she, about praising, I mean, we've said it again, process, but praising, what she said, it was great for coaching, not praising talent, but praising hard work. And
what it takes to achieve that goal, not the goal itself.
Yeah, how that impacts people.
Because that goal's inevitable if you get the process right.
Might take a bit longer for, like we say, everyone does have. I do think there are bits of abilities people have, genetic, whatever.
Of course, that help accelerate it.
Everyone's different. That's granted, you know, but you can always. I think Fergie said it, didn't he, in football, about hard work always beating, you know, talent. If hard work, you know, works harder. Butchered that, but Fergie was right, I think.
Absolutely, and it's again another very simple formula, isn't it?
Simple.
Find out what you want to do, find out how you do it, work really hard, and then the days when you don't want to do it, you have to find ways of inspiring yourself and getting through it.
Yeah,
hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard.
There we go, Jeffrey.
Good job,
Glad you're here, Jeffrey. Unbelievable.
It's a Fergie quote.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
I've got to print it out somewhere, I think.
Legendary.
Question number 17. Can you recommend any books? And you have done at various parts. And actually, last time you stayed at my house, we sat in the front room and you wrote a list out for me. Can you remember? I've still got it somewhere. Some of them might have appeared in here somewhere. As you can see, I've got rather a large collection of books.
That's a great book, Football. I read that when I was quite young.
So good. I got 2 copies, look. But it helped having a dad as a second hand.
Who wrote that book?
Alex Bellas, isn't it? Alex Bellas. And there was a brilliant book about Garincha. I don't know if Alex Bellas wrote that. That was, remember reading Football when I was about 16, 17, and then Garincha's life story. He's like my favourite player of all time. He was just like a proper maverick, but again, a guy.
He was another one who was born with problems that meant he should never have got to the level he got to, but he didn't listen.
He was set, wasn't he, on his...
knew what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
Went out and did it.
Yeah. No, Garincha, that's a good book. I feel like books... I think my favourite books... I think I told you about... Maybe was it The Obstacle is the Way?
Yeah.
I have that on audio constantly, and Ego is the Enemy, because...
Yeah, got that one there.
I think that's such a good
Ego
book.
is the Enemy there.
Ryan Holiday.
Grit, The Power of Positivity.
Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah,
I've got that on audio. I've not got the physical. A book that I would recommend to... I don't know, like, it might seem quite deep, but a philosophy book by Marcus Aurelius called Meditations.
Okay.
And that, The Obstacle is the Way, was actually written from a quote from Marcus Aurelius, who at the time was like the most famous person in the world. He was the most powerful person in the world. He's actually in Gladiator, you know, the good Caesar, and he dies. But he wrote about a lot of leadership stuff and how he kept himself in... Even though he was powerful, and he could have gone off on tangents and become egotistical. He didn't. So like meditations is like one. I just have it on my bed all the time. So if like 5 minutes before I go to bed, just like read a couple of pages of that. It's so readable.
Put that on my Christmas list. It might be a bit too late to get here in time, but
pick it up cheap as well. It's like maybe $6.99. Penguin, brilliant. Yeah,
love that. Are you reading anything at the moment, Jeffrey?
I will be now.
Actually, I've got Jeff a book for Christmas.
Have you?
Yeah, I won't spoil it with the
Meditation
title.
Max, really.
No, unfortunately not. It should have been, but yeah.
And Seneca as well.
Got him a book because he loves reading. Audio books are better for you, aren't they? But I should have maybe downloaded it for you or something. But no, I've got you a book. As well as that nice new tracksuit.
Thanks, boss.
That suits you.
Fucking smart.
And what's next for John Farnworth is our last question. And we know about your Sahara challenge. What else is on the horizon? Are you going to keep doing your shows, or that could be more of a Christmas thing? Or
yeah, I think I'm going to keep it to that, just because I struggle to do everything all year round, just time and energy. So Sahara is going to be my attention from the new year up to March. I've obviously got like Match of the Day Kickabout, which keeps me extremely busy. Hoping to interview Raheem Sterling in January, which would be, I'm really excited. Yeah, really looking forward
ask him in for the podcast, would you?
Should we get him in?
Yes, get him in.
The legend.
I'm sure he would.
So hopefully I can meet him and maybe learn some stuff from him and talk to him. So I'm looking forward to that.
I think he's actually a very interesting guy, by the way.
He seems really cool. Yeah. Like, I'm really looking forward to meeting him. So hopefully we can like get the ball out, you know, do a few skills and just have some fun. So yeah, hopefully that'll be something to look forward to. I'm going to be doing a lot of training, I guess, and when I train for something like that, I always kind of, you know, I just get knuckled down and I try not to. Yeah, like I'll be working and performing, but at the same time, at every moment I'll be, you know, focused.
You can't line up on day one of the challenge and have in the back of your mind, I probably could have trained a bit harder.
That's not what. Can't. Yeah, it would worry me.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then after that, there's a few things that I want to do, but I just need to figure out a way of doing them, I guess. So
that's what it's all about.
There'll be more to come.
Having that goal.
Yeah.
And breaking it backwards.
You definitely need it. I do, certainly. I think. Yeah, I remember doing the marathon actually, and I almost felt depressed after doing it because I was like, oh.
What now?
I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
You definitely need that, and I think we all do.
You almost need to have the challenge after the challenge lined up so you can go, right, that's done, straight into the next
So I
one.
decided on the Sahara last December, before, when I started preparing for Everest, I was like, the Sahara, I have to do the Sahara. So even though you finish it and it's like, right, back to normal life, I was like, well, at least I know I'm going to do the Sahara next year, and that's going to be something that I can really look forward to and get my teeth into. So, yeah, who knows.
Great Wall of China, fancy that?
Actually, yeah, I would love to do like Zen to John O'Groats.
Okay. Heard it here first.
But
fancy that one, Jeff?
But I don't know if people
your
would
2 miles.
It would be, yeah. Maybe I could pass through here. We could do a live
podcast. Yeah,
that'd be amazing. So
we'll join you for 10 yards, won't we?
I might be pushing it for me.
You could join us in the harvest.
I'll follow in the car.
Quick water break and then carry on. But I'd probably pass through here. Probably.
That would be something special as well. They've all been something special, but
it would be hard. It would be a long time, wouldn't it? It'd probably take a few months, I would imagine. But I saw Ross Edgley recently swam Great Britain. He's like a real inspiration what he did, like swimming the whole of Great Britain. And the whole reason he did that, he said, was because he was told he wasn't a natural swimmer, so he decided to swim Great Britain, turn himself into a good swimmer. Because he's beefy, he's strong, and you think, how can he swim Great Britain? But he did. So yeah, he went against what he was thought naturally not good at.
It's amazing what can inspire some people, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's nothing more powerful than when someone says you can't do something and you think you can.
Yeah.
Or even if you think you can't, but you think, well,
you
know, I'm going to do it now.
Yeah.
You know, whatever lights that fire once it's lit.
Yeah.
It's really
sparks it up.
Well, I think that's the podcast concluded.
Is that the first part?
It's yeah.
He's got to put his Christmas tree up.
Jeff's in trouble. He's strolling in at 1 o'clock in the morning, but It's been great fun. Thank you for being the first guest in the Pezzers podcast room.
It's an inspiring room. It's full
Huddle.
of books and amazing Star Wars things.
Badger's been well behaved, my dog. It's been absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Really enjoyable. So thank you, mate.
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to the show tomorrow, hanging out with you tomorrow during the day.
Yeah,
thanks as always, Jeff. This has been the Inner Huddle. Please subscribe if you're listening to the show, and have a look at some of our other podcasts that we've got out there on various different youth development topics. Thanks for listening.
The Inner Huddle from Pezza Street Soccer.